This is the Women of Wonder podcast, where we help women tap into their superpowers. I'm so excited. I'm here today with the amazing Cindy Beedie, the executive director of the Beedie Foundation. She is someone that has really inspired me in the work that she's done with community, and also the way that you go through life and the impact that you have. And I'm just so proud to have you here right now. And one of the biggest projects we worked on last year was with Cindy and her husband, Ryan Beedie. And it was so fun, and had such a big impact. And so thank you, Cindy, for being with us on Women of Wonder.
Yeah. Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Yes, of course. And so, Cindy, why don't you tell us a bit about, you're quite involved with so many fantastic philanthropic, community-based, things. What have been, let's say, some of the highlights of things that you've worked on over the years that really stood out to you as having meaning in your life?
Well, just to go back to working together this past year, we worked on Beedie Rocks, which was amazing.
Beedie Rocks. It truly rocked.
It was. And you were the greatest hostess that you and shared, so thank you. We raised $2 million for the Vancouver Food Bank.
$2 million. This is amazing. $2 million going towards people who needed food.
Yes.
So they don't go hungry.
Yeah. I think there's an increased food insecurity, especially with food prices going up. It's definitely something I think everyone can relate to.
Yes.
Feeling hungry.
Feeling hungry, and the idea of feeling hungry and actually not knowing what to do, or watching. What breaks my heart is seeing your child be hungry and then not knowing where to go or what to do. But what was beautiful about the food bank, the Greater Vancouver Food Bank, is that we went in there and we saw the whole operation, and it is high level. And they're not just, giving out mac and cheese to people. They are bringing in fresh food, and they are tailoring packages for families like children under 3 or young teenagers or seniors, so that they get exactly the type of nutrition and food so that they thrive. Right? Because we can't.
And it's a lot of fresh food. And they've moved away from that kind of donated food that's expired.
Yeah.
And actually helping the food bank now, the best way to help them is by a financial donation. So.
Financial donations. And so bringing in $2 million, which I really respected, was that you put on this amazing rock concert. So we had the joy of introducing people like Bryan Adams or Blondie, Belinda Carlisle, all these amazing bands. The energy and the excitement, and then also you inspiring the community to give, right? It wasn't just about let's come in and have fun. Let's come in and let's also make a difference while we have fun.
It was the single largest donation at that time. I think there's been one that's larger, but it made a significant impact for the food bank. So we're really proud of that.
So proud.
Another one that I think stands out for me is I've been working on a housing initiative for single moms that includes a daycare.
No.
Ryan did his luminaries when he turned 50, and when I turned 50, which was the same year, I started working on this project. I had this idea. I wanted to build housing with a daycare. And I went on a bit of a road show, different communities, different mayors, and finally, in the city of Burnaby, Mayor Hurley was able to give the project the land that we needed.
Amazing.
We have an operating partner with the YWCA, so it will offer wraparound services to the residents and even people in Burnaby.
Right.
So,
and it's called
Cindy Beedie
Place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how spectacular, right? You're leaving your legacy, and it's helping women and children. Right?
It'll
have
be
a safe
56
place.
units, 1 and 2 bedroom, 37 daycare spaces for children under school age.
Wow.
And that is now underway. So
you broke ground.
Broke
ground. Must have been amazing to feel
that. It was the most amazing feeling.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait till it's complete. So it's probably fall of 2025.
Wow.
But they're pouring concrete, and it's happening. So
It's real.
It's
real.
real.
You made it
Yeah.
happen. And so like how beautiful, like Cindy Beattie Place, like this is somewhere where women and children can go and have a safe place. And also like, and you mentioned Beattie Luminaries. I think that's something like you gave 50 million towards creating this something that would allow students to actually get the education and the growth that they need in life, like supporting them to be their best.
Yes.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, that was Ryan's vision, and
Great birthday gifts to the world from both of you,
yeah,
right?
Thank you. Well, I couldn't, and I need to mention the support that I received from BC Housing. They were incredibly generous toward this project, contributing to the construction costs for the housing.
For the housing.
So the money that myself, and an anonymous partner are going to cover all of the costs of the daycare. So the operations will be, covered on a different way, but yeah, it's all done. And we have so many students. I don't even know. We've already had some graduate now.
Yes.
Some are going on to do master's degrees and beyond. And we now have programs for single parents wanting to return to school.
Wow.
We have programs for refugees. I think you and your husband have students that you support.
Yes. We were so inspired, right? We were so inspired that we wanted to support students as well. So we, gave scholarships, and to be able to be part of that and to have that feeling, and then to see this is what they're working on, this is what their passions are, and that their lives, like I just have goosebumps thinking about it, that their lives are changing and that they are going forth and they will change people's lives. It's like this circle of giving and love and caring, and we're just so grateful to be part of something like that. And thank you for like creating that so that we could be inspired to do that.
Well, I have to give full credit to Ryan for that one, but he's very passionate about it, and we've been very inspired by the stories and the young people sharing their stories and their family stories, and it's a wonderful opportunity to lift each other up.
Lift each other up. So it was such a great idea that that the luminaries suggested, okay, like you guys suggested that, okay, Shard, like you're going to call these people and you're going to tell them you are getting this scholarship, you are getting this experience, and to see people's reactions and to hear it in their voice.
That's a lot.
It's like the best.
Yeah.
It's the best because it's a life-changing moment, not only for them, but also for us, right?
I agree.
Yeah, so grateful. So grateful. And was there something in your life that, like, impacted you? Like, I know you and Ryan met at university, and, so, like, longtime sweethearts, known each other since, university time. Was there something in your life that impacted you that made you one day just say, like, okay, this is it. Like, this is the moment. This is where something shifted, and I feel it.
Well, it's funny because when we've been together since we were 19, and I'm 55 now.
Amazing.
I
married 32 years.
Yes,
this is a big deal.
It is a big deal. I think that, when we first got married and we starting our family, we were, it sounds ridiculous, but we were living in overdraft all the time. And the company has grown and changed so much over the last, since 32 years. Ryan joined the company, I think, about 30 years ago. And this is beyond my wildest dreams. I never expected the life that we have. And I think that at some point you really realize, and I don't know exactly when it was, we have to do something with this. We have to share our good fortune with others and rebuild the fabric of society. And look at where the gaps are and try and fill in some of the gaps. I worked on different boards and committees, and all of them kind of highlighted social problems in Vancouver, and mostly women and children.
Yeah.
And I did a capital campaign a number of years ago for Powell Place,
Right.
which is a zero barrier shelter on the downtown east side on Powell Street. And it was originally designed as an emergency shelter, not as a permanent kind of residence, but it was full all the time.
All the time.
All the time. And if you don't know what zero barrier means, residents can be actively using, actively prostituting, still really in the depths of
Their life.
yes. And, hearing their stories, being actually on the downtown east side, which I hadn't been before.
Yeah.
And, the women's, their wishes are like, I want to have all my teeth removed so that I'm not in pain anymore. I want to get my ID back because I don't have any ID. I want to get in touch with my children because I've lost touch with my children. They're very basic kind of requests. I want glasses.
Wow.
And so, if you're homeless, people say, "Why don't you just get a job?" They don't have.
No.
They don't have a resume. They don't have
access.
Yes, all that stuff.
The basics.
Yes. And so I started to think about talking about people like that and how their story, how they ended up there losing track of their kids. They've sofa surfed through all of their families. They don't have anywhere else to go. And so you're either living on the street or you're, trying to find a safe place to sleep.
Yeah.
But at somewhere along the line, a lot of these ladies had their children with them.
Yes.
And then they became separated from them. And I thought, well, what if there's more housing for women fleeing violence or needing housing with their children so they can keep their children with them?
Yes. So
And then I
important.
felt like the daycare piece was critical because if you've got young children, how do you return to work or school?
Yes.
If you have no family, you have no means of support. Sometimes families don't support you leaving your marriage.
So true.
They want you to stay in a violent situation or whatever. And so a lot of these single mother-led families don't have support of their families.
Yeah.
So
true.
yeah, so I started to think, well, that's how I wanted to make a difference. My grandmother was a single mom. They were never divorced, but she lived separately from my grandfather. I think I only ever met him twice.
Okay.
So
So she was an example to you, but still leading the family, caring for the family, but it probably wasn't easy.
So she was an amazing lady and definitely an inspiration to me.
That's so beautiful. And the work that you're doing, like I used to volunteer on the downtown east side a lot with like Wish Foundation or with social services with children removed from like supervised visits. And Powell Place, Powell was a powerful place, where women could go because we don't realize how scary it is to leave everything that you think is safety, but it's still dangerous. So what do you do? And so to have somewhere to land, and I love that you think about having women and children together, because probably one of the worst things is to be separated from your children.
Absolutely.
But sometimes you have no choice. And so very deep work that you're doing. And to go into the downtown east side, like you said, that's a whole other world to be exposed to, but to see and to connect to the why. Because I think you're right. Sometimes people might say, well, why aren't you doing this and that and that? But it's easy for us to say that when we have the basics in life, when we have things that we don't have to worry about. But it's great that you're sharing so that people can like gain knowledge and understanding that there are other ways that people are experiencing life. And what can we do to help?
And I do think that, having secure housing is a very important first step because if you don't know where you're going to sleep, how do you do anything else?
How can you do anything? How can you even, and especially as a woman, you know, we were just having a conversation with a gentleman yesterday, and he said that he had been homeless for 2 years at 18. And then somebody came and gave him a book one day, and this book changed his life. First, he didn't want the book, and then he's like read it, and it changed his life. And now he's like a music producer and movie producer, and he's changed his whole life.
Amazing.
But it came all it took was one act of love and kindness, and it changed his whole trajectory. But he said it was scary being a male on the streets. Imagine being a female or with a child.
And, you know, there's actually even a need for accessible, wheelchair accessible units of housing.
Yes.
So if you think about it, some of the women were living in wheelchairs
Wow.
and in a box
Oh my goodness.
in a park.
And where do you
Imagine
go?
how vulnerable you feel.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Yeah.
so vulnerable. And so creating safety and community, you know, providing things like food, shelter, these are all very profound changes that can happen.
And education.
And education. So it's like you're looking at the whole landscape. And how do you determine, you know, as an advocate, where you spend your time, where you look to help and share?
We sat down with our kids, and
You have 3 children.
well, we have 3 children.
Yes.
They're all grown. I have 2 grandchildren.
Wow,
which is
amazing.
shocking. They're beautiful, but we sat down with them and we did sort of a mission statement, and it was sort of an exercise where we had these sort of stickers and we made these pyramids, and then we looked at them together and saw where the similarities were. And from that, we sort of built a bit of a mission, vision, kind of, it was a very powerful exercise to do with your family, and how different, like Ryan and mine were totally different, right?
Interesting, yeah.
And I guess that's what make partnerships work, right?
Yes. It's like you bring in the different aspects.
Totally. So that informed a lot of it. We like to involve our adult children. Mental health is definitely something that's come up over and over again. We like to look for the gaps, as I said. Some people don't want to touch certain projects because they're maybe controversial,
Yes,
or, Powell Place. I don't know that everyone would want to work on that project, but we kind of looking for innovative approaches. I mean, homelessness, we're looking for innovative approaches to that. Mental health, access to mental health. We've had, anorexia, other mental health issues like, schizophrenia.
Yeah.
I think access to mental health services for young people is something that we support. We've supported through Foundry. We've supported Kids Help Phone. We've supported Born This Way Foundation, Jack.org. Those are the ones that kind of spring to mind. Looking Glass Society. We're really trying to make it easier for kids to access mental health resources, because it's really tough.
Really tough. And like, you've given it to a plethora of these organizations so that they get some care, so that people can see that even when you're involved, then people know, okay, this exists. And so we could turn to that if we need. And how beautiful to show and involve your children to say, like, what can we do as a family? Like, what matters to each of you? And let's bring a part of us to that. And especially if it involves, connecting with the youth, with the children, the people, the kids in your community, right? It's not like we're separated from any of this, and we're involved in all of it.
And another one that we've been, we sort of have pillars that we established. Education is one.
Yeah.
Another one is health. and that is partly mental health, but,
Yeah.
you know, Ryan's mother, Betty, has made a big donation for a new tower at Burnaby General Hospital. It'll be nice. It's
Pretty beautiful.
very much needed. You know, Ryan chaired a capital campaign for Lionsgate Hospital. We did a donation recently for seniors to build senior care facility in Delta.
Yes, I think you've given, I hope you don't mind I'm sharing, but it just shows the power of this, like $8 million to Burnaby Hospital, $5 million to Delta Hospital. Like these are all communities that are all around, but you are lifting them up. And by having some health care and the things that people need, like helping the seniors, helping the young people, help everyone,
Yeah.
right? So you're really looking at all aspects and changing the way communities even operate.
Well, you know, we've been very fortunate, and, you know, it is our privilege to be able to give back to the communities that we live in and around the world.
Yes. Like one organization that is
Yes.
U.S. based, or would you
It's
say
kind of
it's
international?
International. Okay,
Yeah.
tell us a bit about that one.
We became involved with one probably 10 years ago. I don't remember exactly when. But the work that they do is so important. You know, I think originally when one came together, and I may get some of the details wrong, it was bringing together a number of different nonprofits under one umbrella and kind of consolidating the voice.
Yeah.
And they did a lot to alleviate debt in Africa, and that allowed for more money, instead of going to repaying debt, to go back into Africa with schools and everything. So it was a really important organization, and they continue to have presence all over the world. A lot of the work is in Africa. One of the campaigns was "Poverty is Sexist," which is a really interesting concept, that women are more adversely affected by poverty than men. You know, and I think a lot of people know that the longer you can keep a girl in school, all the many benefits. She has less children, you know, there's less poverty. But yeah, I think the work that they do is really important. It was TB, AIDS, malaria, and just trying to alleviate poverty in the poorest countries. And there's been a lot of progress made on that.
Wow.
Now they're kind of shifting a little bit with their focus. Climate change has become something that's affecting everywhere, but particularly the poorest countries.
And so as you do this work, and then also you are a mom and a partner, like, so how do you balance all of that, like motherhood with this work and all, like there's probably so many things coming towards you saying like, help me. And then you have your own family as well. How do you balance that? Because I'm a mom, and so it's...
Well, my kids are older now, and leading their lives, but like finding family time, finding couple time, finding time for our grandchildren.
Yes.
I think you just have to kind of set priorities and set some boundaries around it. I think COVID actually helped a lot.
Yes, I agree.
I think slowing down and spending time, quality time in our bubbles.
Yeah.
You sort of realized, you know, I'm going to be more selective about, you know, when we can go back into the world, I'm going to be more selective about how I'm spending my time and what's really valuable to me. And so that helped. I don't know if that answers the
No,
question.
I feel like I 100% agree. I felt like it was almost this, obviously that was a tough time, but the gift of being able to focus on your family was profound, right? Like there's nothing going to distract us, and we're going to be together, and we're going to work through all the things and like actually enjoy and, you know, like cook together, do whatever, like just do things together. So, like, as a couple, I spoke at the United Nations on powerful partnerships. So I'm really interested in this area. And my husband and I, we work together on human biography. And then I see you and Ryan working together. And it was really cool, actually, seeing you in action together. And the way that you, like, you know, we're in a meeting together. And obviously two very powerful people. And that Cindy's got, like, we'll have this meeting and Cindy's got these, like, brilliant ideas, and the way you just were like, yeah, so I think this, and what do you think? And then he's like, yeah, totally, yeah, that's it. Like I loved seeing you in action, because I feel like if we can come together and work, like, be in partnership together, but then also work and do good and give back to the community together, like, that is, you know, next level. And so do you have any tips for partners out there of, like, how do you keep that, like, connection, or, you know, you make that work together fulfilling and enjoyable?
I think that we have mutual respect for one another. And, you know, before Ryan and I were a couple, we were actually friends.
Oh, nice.
And so I think that friendship
Yeah.
has, you know, a lot to do with it, because we, you know, were created. We were working in youth politics together, so we were collaborating, and, you know, we had a mandate that we were, you know, trying to push forward and stuff. So we collaborate well, and I think at the same time, I know what his strengths are. I think he knows what mine are.
Yeah, important.
And I know when to stay in my own lane.
Yes,
And
right.
when to kind of push my agenda forward.
Yeah.
And I think that's all successful marriages, though, too.
I agree. I think that's a good
To
point.
know when to, you know, push it, and when to go, yeah, you know, I think I'm going to leave this one to you.
Yes, it's like that give and take, that reciprocal relationship, right? Like, share, like, sometimes one is the lead, sometimes the other is the lead, but, like, moving together in harmony. I think that's super important.
I also think that if you both have an opinion, I think giving it some time, if you can,
Yeah.
and talking about it over a period of time, you can kind of come to an agreeable solution.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I
Giving
think
it time.
sometimes if you could just wait a beat or two, it's going to come.
Yes. So not be in the moment of, like, but, like, take the energy, look at it, feel it out, and then respond.
And I believe that you don't miss what's meant for you.
I like that. You don't miss what is meant for you. And so it's like, I think sometimes as humans, we might get stuck in that regret, resentment, the why, but that's not going to help us.
No.
Right. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And so, Cindy, when you, obviously we all go through life and there's so many things, and, like, let's say a moment comes up where you don't get something, or you wanted something, or something is hard. What are the things that help you be resilient and, like move through it, move through those things?
I think that what I initially do is I kind of retreat. I kind of take some time and space for myself, and whether that's going to my bed with a cup of tea and my dogs. And, you know, setbacks are inevitable.
Of course.
So it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yes.
So if you experience a setback, I think I gather my energy, I reflect upon it, and, you know, reach out to girlfriends, reach out to my husband, my kids. I like to walk in nature. Getting outside, I think, is super important. I just kind of, I give myself time to mourn things and, you know, reach out to people for support, whatever that looks like, and heal and move on.
Yes. And I love, like, it's beautiful, actually, that you talk about how when you're giving, and it's like you're helping community, but also when in need, also turn to community, right? Like, where is the community? And so as we build community, and we believe in this strongly at Women of Wonder, right? It's like the idea that if we can turn inward and understand self and give love to self, and then we can feel strong enough to turn to someone and that is within our vicinity, like our partners, our children, our community, and say, like, I need you right now too, or I'm going through this, and let's share. And then we can like build each other up. We can support each other. We can just love each other. Right?
I actually think that it's really interesting. Just in different points in my life,
Yeah.
I had a miscarriage, and I was devastated about it. And then I started to talk about it, and women come out of the woodwork. Oh, I had a miscarriage. I had a miscarriage. I'm like, why didn't you tell me?
No
People
one
don't
talks
talk.
about it.
They don't talk about it.
Wow.
And
And you had the strength. You said, I'm going to talk about it.
Yes.
This is big because you're right. People don't. Probably people you were close to didn't ever mention it.
Completely.
And how did that change things? How did the energy shift? What did you notice?
Well, what did I notice? I think that you just don't really know what's going on in other people's
Yeah.
lives, and that I think we have to move through life with compassion for others.
Yes.
And if someone's being awful at the grocery store or at a restaurant or wherever
Yeah,
you
yeah,
are,
yeah.
you really have no idea what's going on in their lives. But it
So true. I say hurt people hurt people.
Yes, that's
Just
true.
because they're going through something. But if we take a moment, a beat, to say like, what's going on? What's happened? And share even, like a personal share. Like you're very kind with your sharing. And then it creates a safety. And then it creates an ability to be open with others. That's connection.
I actually think that we need to talk about the hurts that we've had.
Yeah.
And I think that's scary because it's vulnerable. And what will someone do with that? Or will they use it against me? Or will they
Right.
think I'm weird? Or whatever
Yeah.
goes through your mind.
It's all the fear.
But I think that's how you build connection and intimacy and
Yeah.
friendship.
Yes.
And I think that support that you get from other people, you'll be surprised that people say, I worry about that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, like, if we as humans, if we look at it on all levels, all places, all spaces, all experiences, really, we probably all have similar fears.
I think I remember at the festival, and I was saying that I was nervous to speak or something,
Yeah.
and you were coaching me, and you were like, it's going to be great, and think about this. But just saying that I felt that way, you reached back to me and said, I feel like that's me too.
Yes.
And,
We were in front of thousands of people,
I
and like
know.
we're about to step out, and like what we're doing was so important. And that when you said that to me, like I'm nervous, and I was thinking, this is your baby. Like you've created this whole thing, and you're this powerhouse, and you're saying I'm nervous, and for me to say, like, to be able to say, yes, Indy, I'm nervous too. Yes. And that we like go out together and we like hold each other's hand and we're like, cheering each other on. We're cheering everyone on. And that energy, I felt it like when we were backstage and like Bryan Adams was with us and he's like, guys, I think we're going to do another song. What do you think?
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, you can do whatever you
Amazing. That
want.
was
Like
so cool.
the energy and the building and like even I'd introduced Blondie and I was just like giving her space to go back on and she took a minute and she was like, thank you so much for that introduction. Like that meant a lot. And I was like,
Wow.
the energy, right? It's because
Wow.
you created that container. You created that container of love for all of us to want to come together and like do the best that we could do. Because this was for like this great cause. And so do you have any advice to women who are wanting to get out and do this kind of work or help or make a change in their community? What would you say to them?
I think, looping back to the whole community, I think volunteerism is something, and service, whether that's your church,
Yes.
your get involved in Women of Wonder,
Yes.
get involved in, I don't know, a beach cleanup,
Yes.
whatever interests you. I would say get involved.
Yeah.
That would be, or I don't know, maybe you're passionate about politics, and you can work on your local campaign. I think that you build, you meet people that are also wanting to make changes, and you kind of bounce ideas off each other. And I think that, like you said, the energy kind of builds, but you meet like-minded people that are wanting to make change.
Yes.
And I think that that's what my advice would be is just, go and do grassroots things in your own community, whatever makes you sparks a joy for you.
Yes, I love that. And so do that, create that energy, right? Like I feel it firsthand with you. It's like doing what makes you feel passionate changes the energy around you. And like together, then we rise. Together, we can do great things. And it starts with even just finding what you love, right? What makes you happy. And I just am so grateful for this time with you and for all the beautiful things that you're doing in the world and how you're bringing the community together, but also turning to community and like being a great example of openness, honesty, sharing. And thank you for having us in your beautiful space.
Oh, thank you.
And just anything, you know, how Women of Wonder can support you or you. Let's do beautiful things together.
We will continue to
We shall
do.
continue. Much love to everybody.
This is only part one.
Part one. Part one of many. Let's just do great things. See, you just got me excited. I'm like,